This next game we're going to talk about is definitely another interesting game here. I think it's going to be a good football game, and the spread indicates that because it's lower than I think most people would think. Texas A&M offensively is 44th in the country in points per game. They are 58th in the country in yards per play. They are 38th in the country in yards per rush at 4.9. They are 50th in the country at yards per pass at 7.5. And they have a sack percentage given up of 5.71%, which is 59th in the country. Now let's go to their defense. 19.6 points per game, which is 19th in the country. 5.1 yards per play, which is 43rd in the country. 3.3 yards per rush, which is 15th in the country, and 6.8 yards per pass, which is 48th in the country, and a sack percentage of 6.83%. Now we get to the South Carolina Gamecocks. 28.6 points per game, 49th in the country. 4.7 yards per play, 116th in the country, 3.7 yards per rush, 95th in the country, and 7.4 yards per pass. That is 62nd in the country. And then we get to this abysmal stat that has not gotten any better. 15.31% sack percentage. That is 134th, so dead last in the entire country. Defensive side of the ball, which has been great, 18.7 points per game, 14th in the country. 4.2 yards per play, which is 5th in the country, 2.8 yards per rush, which is 6th in the country, 6.3 yards per pass, which is 29th in the country. And then, in my opinion, the best defensive line in all of football. I used to say the SC, I think it's all of football now, college football. 11.43% sack percentage. That is 3rd in the country in elite defensive line there for South Carolina. Tyler, how do you think this game's going to shake out?
Yeah, last time Texas A&M played at South Carolina, they lost, and that was the first loss they've ever had against South Carolina. This series has been dominated by the Aggies, something like 11-1. I think that's what they are. I think Texas A&M's either 10-1 or 11-1 against South Carolina since joining the SEC. For some reason, that was Texas A&M's cross-divisional rival. I didn't understand that, but I guess because Arkansas and Missouri have a rivalry. But anyways, I digress there. Who's going to be the quarterback for Texas A&M? Looks like it's going to be Marcel Reed. That really does matter. I mean, Texas A&M's been playing QB hokey pokey all season for whatever reason. Now, Wigman, he's been up and down. He's been dealing with injuries, I guess, but his playmaking just hasn't been there. And I'm just going to blame the offensive coordinator because I've seen Wigman play at a high level when he was a true freshman, and he upset a top 5 team in his first ever top 5 opponent, playing LSU. Remember, they beat him 38-23. Ironically, that's what they won last week against LSU. But he just hasn't been it this season. And like I said, I'm blaming that on the offensive coordinator because, Marcel Reed fits the scheme more than Connor Wigman. Marcel Reed, Klein, what he's basically going to do is try to run the football more and try to have a quarterback who's more of a runner rather than passer. And that's just what Marcel Reed is. He's an athletic quarterback, and he's one of the most athletic quarterbacks in college football. I mean, when he has the ball in his hands, he's trying to make plays. I mean, he is making plays. He went 2 of 2 last week against LSU, 70 yards, but had 3 touchdowns on the ground. That's just what he's going to do. I think that's the game plan going forward for Texas A&M. They're going to try to limit the pass attempts and run the football. They have the best rush offense in the SEC, and it's not even close. They're averaging something like 5.5 yards per carry. Amari Daniels is starting to get things going. Le'Veon Moss, obviously, he's having a great season. And then when you add Marcel Reed, who averages, I think, at least 50 yards on the ground, yeah, this offense is starting to click at the right time. South Carolina just came off of bye week. You got to get, they came off of bye week in a huge win, mind you. They beat Oklahoma on the road in Norman 35-9. The problem with South Carolina is their offense is so inconsistent. How they scored 35 against Oklahoma was off of interceptions and fumbles. They're going to have to turn over Texas A&M, I think, at least 3 times in this game and not turn the ball over once. I think Texas A&M is going to win this game. They're the better team. They've owned this series. I think they'll go into South Carolina and win a lower scoring game. However, I don't think this is going to be close. I don't think it's going to be close. I like Texas A&M here, something like 27-10. I think 27-10 is a good number. I think they'll be able to run the ball late. It's going to be very disgusting early in the first half, but that offensive line wears you down. And when you add Marcel Reed, who can throw, people forget he he threw for what, 200 yards against Florida in the first half, and then they really didn't throw the ball after that. So I like Texas A&M here. Give me the 2.5, and I'm going to take the under 27-10. I think that I'm going to lock in 27-10.
Yeah, on my 5 takeaways of the week about, I don't know, a month and a half ago, I said Texas A&M finally found their quarterback with Marcel Reed, and then they went back to Connor Wegman, and he had the fantastic game versus Missouri.
Yeah.
But if you look at Connor Wegman's career, it's really the Miami game and the Missouri game. Everything else has been good, but it hasn't been great. And then, like, I completely agree with what you said about Marcel Reed just fits the offense way better. Like, It's not even close. It's not a discussion there. He fits it way better. Colin Klein literally wants to run the offense like how he played. A lot of mobility with the quarterback and then hit you deep on certain passing attempts. And they have really good running back duo. Coming into this season, I thought they had the second or third best duo running back room in the SEC, and they've proven that. I think this game comes down to, will Marcel Reed keep the ball and not give it to South Carolina? Because South Carolina is going to get after him. They're going to try to create as many turnovers as possible. And you saw what happened when they played Oklahoma. When they gave up that football multiple times in a row, it was 21-0 in the first 5 minutes of that game, and the game was over. And Texas A&M, to me, is not the type of team where they're going to consistently beat you deep and also play from behind well. They want to play from ahead. So, to me, South Carolina, you got to get off to a good start here. I think that's your one chance of winning the football game. I do think it will be a competitive game, again, for 2 or 3 quarters, and then I think A&M does pull away. So we both agree here as well. I'm going to take Texas A&M. I'm going to go a little bit closer than you. I'm going to go 27-20. And I'm going to take the 2.5 points, and I'm going to go over here. I think it's going to be a fun football game. And to me, I think you have to go with Marcel Reed, because on top of what I said about the offense, he also does not turn the ball over. Like, Connor Wegman has more turnovers than Marcel Reed does. I don't think Marcel Reed has an interception on the year when he's played. Nope. So he's done a great job of not turning the ball over, and he fits, like I said, perfectly in this A&M offense. So I'm going to take A&M here. Would it shock me if they lose this game? No. The scenario that it happens, like I said, is Marcel Reed is just basically in his own head, turning the ball over multiple times, and South Carolina is able to capitalize off of that. But I'm going to take Texas A&M with covering here.
Yeah, we both didn't really talk about Texas A&M's defense, which is their strongest suit. I mean, that defense just came out to play in that second half against LSU. And, I mean, man, Mays. And I said this last week. Their DBs are too deep at every position on the defensive backs, and then as well as their D-line, 2 and 3 deep at every position. Mays comes out and has 2 interceptions, had an amazing game. You know, Lee also played pretty well in the second half. Their 2 corners there. Bryce Anderson finally got to see. I don't know if he's been banged up or something, but I swear I just haven't seen him as much as I thought that I would see him. I thought he would be on the field a lot more. I definitely saw him a lot more. But you got to remember, Texas A&M is probably missing their best, or at least second best defensive back in Tyreek Chappelle. And look what they did against LSU. I don't know if Tyreek Chappelle is going to be back. I just haven't heard anything about that. And but yeah, I just wanted to shout out Texas A&M's defense. It's just ridiculously good.
Yeah, they've been playing really well, especially the last 5 or 6 weeks. So we're both on A&M there. You're on the under. I'm on the over. So we've been on different a couple times on that.